Hello everyone, I'm Joe Ackourey, and welcome to the Fly of the Week. For this episode, episode 16, I'll be tying the Slate Drake Compara done. So let's get started. Alright guys, here we go, the Slate Drake Compara done. First step is placing the hook in the vise, making sure that the shank of the hook is parallel with your tabletop. Now, we have to determine where we're going to set the wing on this Compara done. So I like to use my thread as my indicator. Start wrapping the thread around the shank of the hook and wrap to the center of the shank. Once you get to that point, clip off your excess and now wrap back up toward the eye, half of what you just wrapped. Right around there. That looks really good. That's where our wing is going to be set. Now, the Slate Drake is a very dark winged fly, and the material of choice is this my Compara done deer hair in a darker shade. You can find the light, medium, and dark on my website. It's really awesome deer hair, very fine, easy to work with. All right, so I'm going to take about a gap's worth of this Compara done deer hair and show you what a gap looks like. I kind of, eyeball it with the hook. And first step after you select your deer hair bunch, you want to draw out the fuzz that may be hiding within these deer hair fibers. So just kind of open your scissors up about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch, and I kind of comb it out using my finger like so. Just poke my scissors into my finger gently and draw out all that fuzz. Look at it all. Yep, get rid of it. You don't want too much of that in there. It'll absorb water and sink the flies. And this is a dry fly, so we want it riding high. Just finish that up. Very good. Now, next step is placing this bunch of deer hair inside your hair stacker. So these are the natural ends, and these are the cut ends. Place the natural ends inside the hair stacker and start stacking. Okay, let's see what we got. Very nice. Very nice, clean, even ends. That's a good bunch of deer hair. Couple of ends that are a little bit long, but not bad. Now, pay attention to this technique I'm showing you guys. This is the technique. It just will open up the doors for you tying much smaller Compara dones. Now, traditional Compara done wing is tied on top of the shank of the hook, and that's why you have that big bump. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the wing length we measure from the eye back to just where the shank and the bend meet. So that's your wing length. We're proportioning the wing to the hook. So traditional Compara done wing is tied just like that. You got that big wrap there of thread because all the deer hair is on top of the shank. So when I cut all this off, I'm going to be left with a big bump. And when you get down to, yeah, it's good for sizes 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, but after that, it becomes an unsightly bump in the back of the wing, and it just makes a mess. Looks terrible, actually. So now I'm going to show you my technique. So my technique goes as follows. First thing you want to do is measure the wing. Set the wing in that sweet spot we determined with our thread. Wrap maybe 8 or 10 wraps around there to secure the wing. But actually, we're going to unwrap those 8 or 10 wraps and create a little set in the wing. As you can see, there's a little crease in the wing. I'll point it out to you. Let me get my little pointer here. You can see that little set right there. That's key to this technique. Make sure your thread is tight. You can give your bobbin a clockwise spin. And then you're going to wrap right in that set First wrap, you can see how much deeper that thread is and closer to the shank of the hook now that we creased it. And you're going to spin this wing all the way around the shank, like so. So what I effectively did was I took that bump and distributed that bump all the way around the shank of the hook, eliminating the bump, a large portion of it anyhow. So now the door is open for those 18s, 20s, 22s, and even 24s. So you can tie those really tiny olives on 24s with Compara style. Now clip off this excess deer hair on a sharp angle all the way around the shank. As you can see, I did spin it around, so it's there. And now wrap into those cut ends. Guys, no bump, as you could see. No bump. That's the difference. It's more like a taper than a bump, because it's spun all the way around, eliminating that big bump. Now, I'm going to angle the vise to the camera a little bit to show you that that's spun all the way around. So we need to now pick that group of deer hair up, that bunch of deer hair, and pull it back and dam up some thread in the front. Force it back. There we go. And give your wing a little tug. Looks ugly right now, but we'll have to clean it up a bit. You can clip all the stuff that, all the fibers that didn't cooperate with the main group. And now we're ready to unfurl the wing. You want to open it up 180 degrees, like so. You got one little guy there that needs to go. There we go. There's your wing. Pretty simple. Pretty easy technique. And there you have it. Now, for the tail. We'll clean the rest of it up as we get closer to finishing the fly. Return your thread to the back end of the shank of the hook, right where it meets the bend. And now we're going to pull a tail. The tail for this fly is hackle fibers from a medium to dark dun neck rooster. We want to select a hackle whose fiber length is quite long, just like this. These fibers are very long. So what we do is we grab the tip of the feather, the hackle, and draw it down slowly, forcing those hackle fibers to be perpendicular to the hackle stem, just like so. So that's a great group there, all lined up for us, ready to go. Our thread is in the correct position, and we're going to use the tips of our fingers to grasp the tips of these fibers. We're going to grab quite a few. Try to go for like a 3/4 of an inch worth. And once you have them in between your fingers, don't let them go. Just kind of tap the back ends where you pulled it off the hackle, and there's your tail, guys. Nice even tail. Now you're going to pop that in position once you measure it out. Again, we're going to go the shank of the hook and include the eye. So I have that part in my hands here, my fingers. I'm going to attach that on top of the shank of the hook and wrap all this excess. You can pull your wing out of the way temporarily and blend it in with the excess wing material. See how the excess wing material formed a taper, and you want to push the excess tail material into that area to form a nice looking taper. All right, so the tail and the wing are complete. I'm going to actually pick the tail up and throw a couple wraps under the tail. I like my Comparadons to have a fanned out tail. I throw 1 or 2 wraps in there, spread the tail out, and then lock it in with a couple wraps. It looks a little ugly right now, but once I get it cleaned up, it'll look great. Now, I also like to rib this Slate Drake Comparadon with some rod wrapping thread, a little bit lighter color than the body, just to give it a nice contrast there. So I'm going to go with this like dark brown size A rod wrapping thread. It's a braided line, braided rod wrapping thread. And I'm going to tie that parallel to the shank and attach that tightly up against the tails. There we go. Put that in my little material clip in the back there. Now for the blend. I make all my natural fur blends. I also have, the Slate Drake. There you go. Very soft fur. It's actually a combination of furs. I'm going to dub some on my thread here. Get a good amount. This is a big fly, So, hope you guys can see this. I'll pick it up a little higher. You can see how easy it wants to go on the thread. You can wet your fingers a little bit too if you want, but definitely you do not need wax with this fur blend. And just tighten it up. There it is, perfect noodle. All right, now slide that into position. So pick up that rod wrapping thread for your segmentation. Kick a wrap under the tail. You can return the thread back to the material clip and begin to wrap your body. Nice and skinny. To get the taper, you're going to just increase your overlapping, slightly increase it. The more you overlap, the thicker the body. Okay, that looks really good. Draw your wing back. Let me just tighten that up a little bit more. There we go. Excellent. Pull the wing forward a little bit. Kick another wrap in the back there. There we have it. Return your thread to the just behind the eye and create a little base for your knot. Now take your rod wrapping thread and begin to segment this fly. So got a couple wild hairs there. We'll clean it up again as we complete this fly. I just like to add this segmentation. It really gives it a nice effect and actually holds the fly together a lot, tighter. Get to the front, wrap it around the front. Secure that with a couple quick wraps. Fold it back so it locks it in. Wrap a couple wraps on top of that. Tie your finishing knot. And now the cleanup process. And just make it look nice. Any stray fibers you want to get out of there. You want to even out the wing. Your tail, there's a couple hackle fibers flying up in the air there. Get rid of them. And now for a drop of head cement on the knot. Give your wing a little pinch there to get that going. There you have it, guys. Slate Drake Compara done. Thank you for joining me, and looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. Tight lines, fellas.